Hello and a very good afternoon to you. I welcome you to BYJU'S exam prep channel that is dedicated to help you reach your goal of getting into a top B school. My name is Vikrant and I'm your personal coach for all things English and communication. And today we are going to focus on one very specific aspect of English, that is reading comprehension. And within this aspect, the core area that we need to focus on or that we need to work on is the approach towards reading comprehension. So a lot of people keep on asking me, how should I really go about attempting the passage? And the reason is, I think I am also partly to blame for it. I tell everybody to go ahead and work on reading comprehension passages. In fact, the sweet spot is 10 passages every week. So that's something that I keep on advising, and therefore I can understand where this confusion or where this concern comes from. So let's go ahead and take care of that specific concern today. In case you happen to have a question that you want to ask me, a question that bothers you, please feel more than free to share that with me, and I would love to help you with it. And by the time you type your questions, here is something for you to ponder over. Here is something for you to think over. So, irrespective of whether you think you are ready for RCs or not, please trust yourself. You are ready. Start practicing. So you would never feel otherwise. Not many of us will actually feel ready. So even when you feel that, oh, I'm not exactly there, you should start practicing, and that is exactly how you grow. You need to push beyond your comfort zone a little, and that's where the growth really exists. Okay, so since we are talking about approach to RC, it is very important for us to answer this one basic question, and that is, what is our goal in the paper, particularly with respect to reading comprehension? What's our goal? Because at the end of the day, whatever we do is very closely tied with that goal, is very closely linked with that particular goal. So what's our goal in RC? Very simple, right? We just want to get a great rank, which involves getting a lot of marks. And because we have limited amount of time, you want to get all those marks at the earliest. So if I were to put down a goal for the exam, this is what it is going to be: to get as many marks as possible in as little time as possible. So in other words, you of course want to be accurate, but in addition to being accurate, you also want to be efficient. And what is your definition of efficiency? So if you look at that conventional standard definition of efficiency, this is what we say. So efficiency is the quality of achieving the largest amount of useful work using as little energy, fuel, effort, etc. as possible. Now, with respect to our exam, all of these things, energy, fuel, effort, you can simply replace them by the word time, and the useful work here would essentially be the largest amount of, in fact, I'd have to then change it entirely, largest number of marks, right? So how do we go on to do this in RC? So let me go ahead and share that particular approach with you today, and I'll also demonstrate it using a passage for you. So here are the steps. So all in all, this entire process involves 4 steps. So typically in an exam, you know that you have multiple passages. You obviously cannot attempt all the passages simultaneously, and therefore the very first thing that you need to do is passage prioritization. You need to decide which passages are easy and which ones are difficult, and then you would like to start with the easy passages and then move towards difficult passages. So the reason here is that I hope that you are able to attempt all the passages, but just in case you are not able to attempt all, just in case you run out of time before you have gone through all the passages, you would at least have left those passages out which were challenging for you, right? So easy and less time consuming questions first. So what I typically do is that I look at two things. I look at the subject matter of the passage, which area, which topic does it talk about, which area does it belong to, and I also look at the kind of language that is used in that passage. Am I comfortable with that language? So that kinds. So subject matter along with language, and a combination of these two things would typically do the trick, right? And in order to evaluate these things, do not look at the beginning of the passage, look at the middle of the passage. Why, etc. is something that can probably be left for a later date. So passage prioritization. And where do you get to practice it? If you have been attending my sessions, then you know that I ask you to attempt 10 passages every week. Now, in that week, there are 6 days where you attempt 1 passage a day. And then there is this 7th day where I want you to sit down and attempt 4 passages in a single go. So this 7th day is when you'd get to practice passage prioritization, and after a while, of course, the mock cats will start, and once the mocks start, you would of course be able to practice this adequately later too. But by then, you'd be able to hit a grand running start if you start doing these things from today itself. So passage prioritization, that has to be the absolute first thing. Any questions, any concerns here from any of you? So you notice that in these sessions we of course address your questions, but then most of those questions are related to the topic that we teach. But I understand that you may have questions that go beyond this topic. You may even have questions that relate to your preparation strategy. So if you ever want to talk to us about any of those things, you'll find a pinned comment in the chat, which will take you to a counseling form. Just fill out that form, and we will get back to you for a one-on-one conversation that addresses your issues, your challenges specifically. Okay, so that's all that you need to do, and we'd love to help you in this journey even further. So that's number 1, passage prioritization. The second step is, now that you've prioritized the passages, you will go to the passage that you've decided to start with. So read that passage, but while reading it, try to get just an overview. Do not read that passage for detail. A lot of us try to capture as much as they can and retain as much as they can. That is not going to work. That is going to be time consuming, and therefore you would generally avoid that. Just stick to generating an overview. Now, why do you need an overview? See, at the end of the day, every question is created from a part of the passage or from the overview of the passage. So since you've read for an overview, you're already there. But then for all those questions that belong to a particular part of the passage, you realize in order to answer those correctly and successfully, you need to go back to that right part in it. So in some questions, you need to go to just one part. In some questions, every answer choice may ask you to refer to a different part of the passage. And that's where the catch lies. If you have generated a quality overview, then going back to the relevant part of the passage becomes easy. On the other hand, those who do not generate that quality overview, well, for every answer choice, for every question, they have to keep hunting for the relevant location, which ends up taking a lot of time. And in fact, I've seen people who end up reading that entire passage some 2-3 times because they were looking for that relevant part. Tanmay, there are discrepancies in, so that is why you need to have an overview. Okay, Tanmay, discrepancies in what way, Tanmay? Discrepancies in what sense? Hi, Harshad. So if by discrepancy you mean that, hey, there are differences between your answers and the official answer key, that's a separate thing. But if it means something else, please share it in the chat. I would love to help you. In fact, I will be taking a session tomorrow at 1 where we'd sit down and talk about the decision making section. And I'm sure just like you, there are a couple of questions here and there where I think I don't agree with the official answer key. I'd probably be marking them as areas of concern to that. Tanmay, this very normally happens in decision making section, and even in VARC that typically gives you ambiguous answer choices. I in fact was going through that some 15 minutes ago. There are a couple of questions in English where I definitely do not agree with the official answer key. I will raise them as issues or areas of concern, but let's see. You can join me at 1 tomorrow for discussion of decision making, and at 1 on Sunday where we sit down and look at verbal ability and logical reasoning. Let's see. Right? So don't worry. So coming back to topic, these two steps, then third, then now that you're done with the passage, go to the questions and read it. And after reading it, please understand it. So if you don't even understand what that question asks and how that question needs to be approached, chances are that your accuracy rate in that question type will be low. Okay, but fortunately, this is something that you can do during your preparation. So all in all, there are around 20 different question types that get asked in the reading comprehension passages. Tanmay, I'm not able to understand the last message that you've sent, but let's take it up. Let's take it up outside the class, or let's take it up tomorrow. So in the response sheet on the top right hand corner, they are telling you what you chose as your answer, or what you marked as your answer. Let's say they'd say you marked D. Now if the correct answer is D, so and then the main PDF just writes the correct answer in green. Whether you've chosen that or not is a different story. So you've chosen D and the correct answer was also D, so you've gotten it right. On the other hand, if the correct answer is, let us say, C, and that is the part in green, then you've gotten it wrong. So, but let's just pick it up tomorrow and then talk about it. Here is the fourth and the last thing. Once you've read and understood the questions, go ahead and eliminate all the different answer choices. So once again, the approach. What is the first thing that you do? Passage prioritization. After that, when you read the passage, what do? Go to that passage and read it in under 2 minutes. And your goal is getting an overview and not getting the detail. Thereafter, the questions, options, elimination, all that. Okay, so let's sit down and focus on a particular passage. So I'm taking you through a passage paragraph by paragraph. Your goal is to create or to capture the key idea of every paragraph in your words. After that, of course, there are going to be questions. We'll go and talk about those. But your aim is to take out the key idea of every paragraph. So shall we start? Here is the first one. Go ahead and read it. Oh, Tanmay, that's a different story then. That's a problem. Now I understand. Okay. All right. So when you practice it on your own, I would of course expect you to do it faster, but here I'm cutting you some slack and I'm giving you some leeway. हर्षद, हम सबके साथ यही होता है यार. हाँ, दो ऑप्शंस एलिमिनेट हो जाते हैं, पर दो में थोड़ा दिमाग लगाना पड़ता है। उसके पीछे कारण है, किसी दिन जब क्लास में होंगे तो वी गो अहेड एंड टॉक अबाउट दैट। Okay, so here is the next paragraph. Okay, so here is the next one. And remember, you are taking out the key idea of every paragraph and keeping it in your mind. Okay, here is the next one. Okay, and here is the next one. Okay, next. Ready? So this is the second last paragraph. Okay, and here is the last one. Okay, so now let me tell you how I go about doing it. So here is the first paragraph, and down below in this yellow gold, you see what I took out from the first paragraph. So for me, all that is there in my mind is unionization is necessary to rebuild a more robust middle class in the US. Everything else is detail. Then the next paragraph, this is what it contains at its heart. When next, and next, and next. This plus some Democrats who is, there was opposition from some Democrats as well. And finally, here is the last paragraph. So by the end of this passage, I happen to have this in my mind. So I know what this passage is about, plus I have the key idea of every paragraph in my mind. And this is what I call the overview. That's how we can go ahead and arrive at it. It is a skill. So whether you are able to do it today or not, it's all right. You need to gradually, with consistent practice, you can actually reach this level. You can reach this juncture, this status. And I'll tell you how this is useful or helpful. So here is the first question. So what is the first thing that you do? You read and understand the question. Once you understand the question, once you're clear about the approach to the question, there is then that you go to the answer choices, you eliminate and choose the right answer. So I'm giving you 1 full minute to arrive at an answer to question number 1. Here you go. Your time starts now. There is this bar at the top which will vanish in a minute's time, and we will discuss it then. Done. Okay, now that the time is up, we can go ahead and look at what the answer should be. Shall we? So what would you choose as your answer or mark as your answer? So first up, let's understand what the question is about. Okay, so when we are asked for an inference, which of the following statements can be inferred, the first thing is that we need to know what inference means. So inference basically means conclusion, something that can be arrived at on the basis of the information provided in the passage. So the approach in this question is we go to every answer choice and label it as true, false, or can't say. Label every option as true, false, or can't say. So if you find any answer choice that is true, that should be marked as your answer. Can't say and false should be ruled out. In case there is no option that is true, then you typically see one can't say, the rest of them false, then choose can't say. If there are two can't says, that makes the question tricky, but then you need to evaluate which argument is stronger, which conclusion has a higher probability of being true, and then you choose that. So that's how we basically deal with these questions. Okay, so in this particular question, let's look at A. Republican Party is genuinely a party for the working class. Now, if you look at it, and this, both of these things, information given in paragraph 2, paragraph 5, both of them help you label first. Label A as false. So this is ruled out. Then B, justice is generally swift when companies try to thwart unions. Look at this. If you go to the third paragraph, you will find this information that tells you that no, justice is not swift. In fact, there are delays. So that tells you that even B is false. Okay, C, workers can look to the Democrat Party to support their cause. Can they, Harshad? So you notice, even C is something that you cannot be 100% sure of. And that is why D is the only part which is true. If you go back to the passage, you would find that the profitability of employers has gone up. Employers are more profitable. They're not passing on those benefits to the employees. And that is why the answer to this question should be D. So now you know. Next to come VARC for Maharashtra CET. When do we start? I think in a day or two. That's something that I can confirm soon. I think I'm taking a session tomorrow. Yeah, I'm taking a session tomorrow for that matter on fill in the blanks at 12 noon. So you can join in. That should help. Okay. Moving on to the next question now. Here is your question number 2. Do you understand the question? Whenever the question asks us about a reference, what is to be done? So here are the options. Go ahead and start. So the time is almost over. Okay, so whenever we are asked for the purpose of an instance of an individual, then you realize that typically the purpose is to elaborate or support on an idea. That's how instances are used, right? So consequently, we just look for an idea that gets supported by the given individual, by that given instance, basically. At the moment you arrive at that, you typically be able to figure out that purpose. So out of the four, okay, Harshad is the only one who's actually shared an answer. Wagi, what about the rest of you? Yeah, you guys are not working on this or something? Okay, so in this particular question, the answer is, or the best answer is option B. So in order to arrive at an answer to this question, you basically need to read the fourth and the fifth paragraphs together, and that leads to the right answer. If I look at D, the White House is Biden. So it is not Biden. So White House, if you use it as a figure of speech, it will refer to the government. Republicans are the opposition. And that's why. Okay, so that's where B becomes better than D. Here is the next question for you. On your screen, you need to know weakening, and here are the options. Your time starts now. Okay, so for question number 3, the best answer is going to be option B. So first up, let's read the question. All of the following, if true, would weaken the author's claims except. So 3 of these are going to weaken, 1 does not weaken, and the one that does not weaken is supposed to be our answer. So if you look at A, wages of workers have been growing faster, then that contradicts the information given in the passage, so this will definitely weaken. Amazon and Starbucks pay lower wages to their workers as compared to unionized companies. Is this going to weaken? This actually supports. This answer choice tells you, if this is true, then it tells you that unionization is better. And that is the main argument of the passage, that we need to have unionization. So this provides evidence in support. Then if you look at C, it is once again likely to weaken the author's stance. So the companies do not want unions. So if there are a fair number of progressive corporates, then this entire issue becomes moot. And according to the passage, there are plenty of delaying tactics that are used. D says no, they are not used. Their number has sharply reduced. So that once again goes on to contradict the passage and thus will weaken. And that is why the answer must be option B. Here is question number 4. a specific detail question, but all of the following are true except. Your options are on the screen and your time starts now. There we are. So for question number 4, we just need to evaluate every answer choice and label it as whether it is true or not. So how about A? Corporates have unceasingly attacked unions over the past few decades. If you refer to the second sentence of your first paragraph, it says, as unions have declined over recent decades, suffering from unrelenting corporate attack. So on the basis of that, we can very clearly say that this is true as per the passage. Then B, most corporates do not want their workers to belong to any union. True. This is in fact a recurring theme in this particular passage. You can refer to the first paragraph, the third paragraph, and you'd specifically find this there. Then how about C? Corporates have frequently fired organizers of unions. True. Third paragraph tells us, yet the NLRB lacks the staff to investigate the flood of complaints about spying on workers, firing organizers. So if there is a flood of complaints, you can definitely call it a frequent action. Whereas D is something that cannot be determined on the basis of the passage. So true except basically means you're looking for something that is not true. A, B and C are true, so they are not our answers. D is not true, and therefore our answer should be option D. Right? So that's how you are supposed to approach the sorry. My bad, Aaron. So that's how we approach the passage as well as the questions. So if you happen to have any question for me, please feel more than free to drop it in the chat, and you can always fill out that counseling form and sit down with one of us in a one-on-one discussion, taking care of your specific concerns and issues and how best we can help you overcome those. So that's it from me for the day. If you enjoyed working with me, don't forget to give this session a like, and you know that you can unlock a 3-day free trial to experience the course and how we teach in greater depth, and maybe that can help you realize that the program that we have is an absolutely amazing and comprehensive program that can benefit you immensely, and you can think of joining us formally then. Now this program has actually led to stellar results in the past. So that's it from me today. I look forward to meeting you once again at 12 noon tomorrow. If you're targeting all these other management entrance exams, specifically fill in the blanks. And at 1 tomorrow, I will take you through the decision making section of the recently conducted XAT. Additionally, you can work on some para summary questions with me on the app at 5. Right? So that's it from me. Have a great time, and I'll see you once again tomorrow. Until then, stay safe, stay focused, stay in touch, fill out the counseling form if you need.